Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For. I am Lorenzo and I am sitting here with...
Kevin Horde.
Hello.
Hello. We have an unofficial guest today, and that is my dog sitting on my lap. I'm pointing down here. Hopefully he's quiet and stays off mic, but we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be fine. We're continuing on with the Clone Wars. We are moving forward to a Test of Strength. This is a continuation from last week's episode, The Gathering.
Who knew?
Yep. After last week's ending, who thought? This is an episode that aired on November 10th, 2012, but it did get a premiere of November 9th, the day prior, in Canada, which is interesting. You know, we've had a few of those before. This episode was directed by Bosco Ng and written by Christian Taylor. So Bosco Ng, another name we've seen a lot of.
Yep. So same writer, different
director.
Yep.
Yeah. For the fortune cookie on this one, we have the young are often underestimated. So who do you got for this one?
I got Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And I feel like this would have been like early in her Padawan ship.
Basically, like in the first episode when she's talking to Rex, right?
Yeah.
And
I'm the one with enthusiasm.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought of Yoda again on this one, only because of his enthusiasm towards children in episode 2.
I tell you what, I'm gonna agree with you, because the first time I watched this episode, I think he straight jumped into my mind, because he says stuff like, "Judge me by my size, do you?" And he's all about like not appearances, right?
Right. Exactly.
You know, it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, how big you are, how small you are. The Force, you know, the Force is the Force, and those other defining characteristics don't matter.
Yeah, they don't matter in the eyes of the Force. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Yep.
I will totally go with that.
Yeah, to me it was both that, and also just because of I love his quote from episode 2 where he's like what is it? Wonderful the mind of a child is, right? You know.
Good point.
So it was relating to that quote that got me, you know. So moving on to the newsreel. The newsreel is just a straight recap of the previous episode. So they talk about the younglings going to Ilum, working on the gathering, grabbing their crystals, and how they each had to face a test. And then the sort of ominous lead for this episode is, now having passed the test, they take their first steps into a larger world. Yep. So yeah. Starting this episode, it's pretty much right after the test on Ilum. At least that my instinct on that, because they're still headed back to the Jedi Temple, and they're all hanging on to their kyber crystals. So these would be the same Padawans that we saw in the previous episode. So that's again Petro, Ganodi, Biff, Katuni, Zat, and Gunji. We got Ahsoka still in charge of them. Yoda is not in this episode at this point.
I think I brought this up last week. Does Yoda just stay there and chill in his ice hotel, or?
I don't. Yeah, like I said, because I was alluding it to last week, because I had seen both episodes already, so that's why I kind of made the drop of the fact that Yoda goes missing in this episode, and that in my mind, he's hanging out, like waiting for the next batch of children to like get them through there's a different chocolate factory that is churning through children, right?
Okay.
I think there are multiple chocolate factories that are all happening at once to put these children in peril.
Okay.
Of some sort.
So how about this? What if the crystal chandelier and the sunshine is not the only way into the actual caves?
Yeah.
And those present their own challenges, right?
Yeah.
Like when it's the crystal sunshine, you're limited by time. You know, you have 22 minutes and 48 seconds to get through all of your trials and tribulations and get back out. But when it's nighttime, there's a different way in, and there's different things that happen.
There's some cool like nighttime mystical hidden way in. Maybe like a door illuminates from the moon via like Fellowship of the Ring, like
Yep.
So that sort of thing. We didn't talk about this last time, but as of right now, Ilum is still pretty pure, right? Ilum comes back later in the timeline in a big way.
Okay, I do not remember Ilum coming back. I didn't remember Ilum being here the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember Ilum from the Clone Wars 2D show.
Ew.
And the process of finding a crystal, a kyber crystal on that.
Because it's interesting because I agree. I didn't remember Ilum from this being the planet that they visit in this arc.
Mm-hmm.
Ilum is Starkiller Base. So
okay.
That's when because the other thing we didn't mention last week, they don't mention Ilum by name in the previous episode, is my memory, but they do in this episode. So as soon as they mentioned Ilum, as I was watching the previous episode, I just didn't think about it at all.
You're gonna hear some pages rustling, and I'm gonna look.
No worries, because that's probably why we didn't bring it up last time, because I was just like nonchalantly like just dropping the name Ilum, but at no point did anybody mention it. But in this one they do. They're like, hey, that was a fun time on Ilum, wasn't it? And then as I'm watching this episode, I went, Ilum? Wait, what?
I think I'm gonna actually you here.
Uh-huh.
So the Nautilin, Zat, who is the Donatello, right? I believe that when they first enter the cave and
is that his like his old 19 days thing?
Yeah, Petro is
You're right.
I can last here overnight, and he's like, oh well, actually, according to my calculations and my research, the sun only rises on Ilum every 19 days.
You're correct, because I just went back to my notes and I wrote down the word Ilum, and I usually don't do that unless somebody names shit.
Right.
But so all the same, Ilum comes back in a big way later in the universe.
Yeah.
So
I totally forgot that.
For whatever reason, remember Ilum being the planet that gets turned into Starkiller Base, but couldn't remember the back engineering part of it. The other thing to bring up is, I believe you can definitely, actually me on this one, I'm going to try and double check and stretch for time. But I do believe The Gathering is the first fully canonized reference of Ilum.
I will look into that while you are...
Like, the fact that you brought it up with the 2D cartoon version is interesting to me. But I think once everything that is still canon is... everything that remains canon taken into account, then this becomes the first mention of the planet in a real world chronological standpoint. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That was a very weird, convoluted way to describe that.
That's how we do
it. But so my understanding of Ilum is that it's not until the Empire takes over that they start mining its resources, which is where that trench gets dug in. And then as more time passes, and even after the Empire, once the First Order kind of takes over, they understand Ilum's remaining resources that are possible there. And that's why we get that distinctive trench that appears on Starkiller Base around the planet. But my understanding is here the planet is still pure, other than the Jedi coming and finding kyber crystals, but there's not like mass mining that's going on. So as far as I think we catch sight of it every now and then, but the planet is basically still there's no trench even like thought of at this point. Yeah,
so I'm looking at the Wikipedia article. And to breeze through it, Ilum has a kyber crystalline core. Jedi Order used it for the Gathering. When the Jedi Order was exterminated by Order 66 of Darth Sidious, the new Galactic Empire occupied Ilum and began excavating for its vast supply of kyber crystals. So I'm with you there.
Yeah.
And then somewhere I was reading, here we go. I lost it. It said something about the Jedi Temple on Ilum being the last kind of bastion of any type of living beings on the planet. So it was like, I don't know if... Give me just 1 second. I know I just saw it.
So there's no like other habitat, like popularized or populated. Sorry.
Yeah, that would be the pop word.
Words. I know the best words. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with words. But yeah, so there's no actual like native population on the planet.
Not that I'm seeing. So it says the Jedi Temple on Ilum remained the last sign of intelligent life on Ilum, but was almost entirely covered by ice. All other bases on Ilum were removed by the Jedi. Ilum became a bigger supplier of kyber crystals when other planets exhausted their resources. Fauna are various non-sentient animals and unidentified creatures. Native flora would be trees. Points of interest are said to be the Jedi Temple, the Crystal Cave, and Starkiller Base. Primary terrain is crystallized glaciers, ice plains, mountains, forests.
Yeah.
It is 660 kilometers in diameter. Orbital period of 301 days. Rotation period 66 hours. Which makes it weird that the sun only rises every 19 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Where again? I've asked this question a lot. Where does Wikipedia pull some of this information from? Like, those are very specific stats on Ilum. You know, like those are very specific stats. Where does that appear? I'm sure there's like it's probably one of the visual dictionaries or something.
I would imagine.
Which I have the visual dictionary for Force Awakens, so. I wonder if I don't know where it is. It's probably still in a box somewhere since I made a move a few months back. So, but yeah,
you are correct about the first canonical appearance being the last episode. By the way,
okay. For the gathering, yeah.
Sources would be looks like encyclopedia links on StarWars.com, like the old Star Wars encyclopedia, Ultimate Star Wars, absolutely everything you need to know, and then it goes on from there, comics, novels.
Okay, interesting. Yeah,
and then data banks after that.
All right. Yeah.
I'm
sure the story group is keeping track of all of that. So
I would imagine.
But
I'm not sure the timeline of the sun coming up fits.
Yeah. Again, I think that's something they told them, and then Yoda, like, they're all laughing their way off the planet, and then Yoda, like, within, like, the hour is, like, seeing a second batch of children as the sun comes back up. So
probably in about 66 hours by all accounts.
Exactly. But this episode is not even anywhere near Ilum. They're leaving Ilum, and they're trying to go back to Coruscant. Ahsoka is filling them in that they will get a quick lesson on lightsabers and lightsaber construction. They are on a ship that has what is called a lightsaber designer,
architect.
An architect, yeah.
Hu Yang is his name.
Yeah, Hu Yang is his name. He is voiced by David Tennant, who is very recognizable, like not even mistakable. Definitely David Tennant.
Yep, I only realized that when I looked at the Wikipedia page and said guest star David Tennant. So there we go.
So I'm just going to say this now and just get this out of the way. You know how I will mention episodes I either remember or don't remember from my first view through?
Yes.
I definitely remember this one because it's David Tennant. So I was like, I remember David Tennant's in one of these episodes. And I remember him playing this robot that teaches young Jedi how to construct a lightsaber. So I find it very interesting that he is a droid that has this knowledge. And like last week's episode where I mentioned that there are a lot of Harry Potter related things that in my head translate to Star Wars, but not necessarily the other way around.
Right.
Huang is definitely the Ollivanders of this universe. Like 100% is just seemingly modeled after Ollivanders. He comes through. He even spits off stuff like, hey, I've been doing this for like hundreds of years, and I know every lightsaber that's ever been designed by anybody ever, all time.
And
ever.
who designed it.
Yeah. Like, I know what they're made of and the cores they have and all of that jazz. So, yep, that information is out there. So, he singles out Gunji, the Wookiee, and mentions how rare it is that Wookiees are force sensitive.
Right.
So, basically, straight away, he uses Gunji as the first example to be like, hey, imagine what your lightsaber might be made out of. And then Gunji just starts like listing things off that he wants it to be made of. But then Huang is like, no, reach with the force and what do you see in your mind? And then Gunji says in his own Shire Wook language growling, he sees a wood lightsaber. So Huang is like, yes, very rare, but there's only one kind of wood that's as strong as anything else. And then he goes through like all the drawers and like brings out a bunch of materials.
Which isn't even a Warshire tree, or however you pronounce it, which is like the one wood that is really connected to the Wookiees and like every other
I don't
thing,
think
right?
Yeah, I think he just brings up just a strong wood in general, right? Like, so I don't know. But basically he then uses this time to just bring out a bunch of materials. And then we do get Gnodi having reservations about getting trained in lightsaber training or lightsaber knowledge from a droid. But then that's what leads Huang to like give drop his badass resume. You know?
Okay.
But then very quickly from this point, we cut over to a different ship, and it's straight up a 50 saucer ship.
Yep. We have seen this before.
Yep. And it is occupied by none other than Hondo Anaka, and the rest of his pirates.
So I would like to say at this point, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh shit, that's Hondo's ship. Mm-hmm. And then I thought back to like 2 weeks ago when Hondo dropped off some missiles and he was driving like a space yacht.
Yeah, space yacht, the cruiser thingy. Yeah,
that looked familiar to me, but this is definitely more recognizable as Hondo's. Mm-hmm. So then I was thinking, like, which one is Hondo's ship? Are they just both Hondo's? Is the space yacht inside this thing? Because the flying saucer is pretty damn big.
Right. Yeah. And it's like of a different, like, even if the volume of this is smaller than the space yacht, it's distributed in a way that it's a flying saucer. Like,
it like the outer core spins.
Yeah. It's like trying to put a pizza inside of a gift box, you know, like,
right.
Like, you can do it. You're not going to have the same pizza after the fact, you know?
Well, I was thinking more the space yacht would be inside the flying saucer. Not the other way around.
Ew. Nah, I was thinking, I don't know. Because I was thinking the yacht would be bigger, but I don't know. Because, like, there was that one other episode when Obi-Wan went undercover and they were, like, in that oddly large yacht for the three of them, you know? Mm-hmm.
That's the ship that it reminded me of.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was the same ship, like, or the same design anyways, right?
Yep. My dog is rolling around on the floor making noise. Sorry if you guys can hear that.
Nope, don't worry about it. So
he wants to be included.
Hondo has a plan. He knows that there are Jedi younglings on this ship that they're trailing, and he mentions that it's easy to pick off. It'll be easier to pick off younglings because the kyber crystals pull a large value on the black market. So that plan is sound.
He makes it sound like a lot of winnings, big per kyber crystal, right?
Yeah. So they're going to be rolling in it if this plan pulls off successfully. So while the younglings are trying to put together their lightsabers, they're all having trouble with it. They're not getting it together right. They're using the Force to do it. We get a quick shot of what's his bloody name? Petro. Petro's showboating again. He puts together his lightsaber pretty quickly. Huang takes a quick look at it and goes, "Hey, your whatever energizer thing is in backwards, and if you were to use it, it would blow up in your face, and you'd be dead. Everything would be destroyed except for the kyber crystal inside of it."
Yeah, he reversed the emitter matrix.
Yeah, that thing. So Petro's defeated a little bit, but pretty much right about this time, Hondo starts attacking the ship, and they disable the engines. Ahsoka runs to the cockpit, and it turns out that R2 is the one piloting the ship alone, which for whatever reason surprised and tickled me all at the same time.
Yeah.
So
makes about as much sense to me as Ahsoka escorting some younglings
everybody out, yeah.
on their biggest accomplishment so far, and
yeah,
R2's the one flying.
So knowing that pirates have attacked the ship, Huang tells all of the younglings to give him their kyber crystals, and he'll keep them for safekeeping until they get back to the Jedi Temple. Petro, for whatever fucking reason, and I'm going to put it that way because he annoys the shit out of me, and he might be one of the most annoying characters to me since Jar Jar Binks. He holds on to his crystal and places a false crystal into the pile. And they reveal really quickly that he is holding on to his crystal. Like,
did he actually drop something into the pile? I thought he just pretended to and then just kind of palmed it.
It looked like he dropped something in there, but you might be right. He might have been holding on to it and then quickly palmed it. Yeah, but he definitely had something between his thumb and index finger as he was doing the motion at least, right?
I feel like a droid who's been doing this for at least 1,000 years would have already seen this trick a few times before.
But I don't think he's holding on to younglings' crystals a lot.
I don't know. He's got a specialized compartment that he can pull out of his chest that happens to hold some crystals that he can put back in his chest and be all secretive about it. He's been doing this 1,000 years. It can't be the first time they've been attacked by pirates.
But also, he's being the most prominent lightsaber designer and architect. It doesn't surprise me that he would have compartments to hold kyber crystals.
Okay.
So that bit didn't surprise me. It didn't bother me for that bit. But anyways, let's see. So the pirates connect a big bridge thing, docking bridge between the two ships, and then Ahsoka rejoins the younglings, and they make it out of the original room that they were in. Then they create a quick plan to hide, basically, oldest trick in the book sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
Huang is the one that says, "Hey, hide in the vents."
Yeah. So they just climb in the vents. Petro again is like, "Hey, why don't we fight?" And then Ahsoka is like, "You guys are children, and these are pirates, and go hide, get in the vents." So they're hiding down there. They formulate a plan while in the vents. So Ahsoka tells Zat and Gnodi to head to the cockpit and join R2 and secure the cockpit so that they can do whatever they got to do in the cockpit side of things. And then Huang and the others, the rest of them, the remaining 4, will go back to the hold and lock themselves inside there. And then Ahsoka will reroute power to the engines. And then from there, the plan is that once she does that, that'll allow R2 to go ahead and pilot the ship and just rip the ship off from the pirate ship.
Mm-hmm.
And the hope there is that even with pirates on the ship, those pirates will then just get sucked out of space.
Okay, got a question for you.
Yep.
When the pirates first attacked, they were firing at the hyperdrive.
Yes.
Right, so they couldn't hyperdrive out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So this translates to the engines need more power. Right?
Yeah, I guess they like lightly attacked but didn't like fully destroy, you know?
So I guess the engines just need more power to escape the...
They just want to pull away. So like right now the engines are just like disabled.
I don't even know if they're disabled. I think they just don't have enough juice because Hondo shot like 2 tow cables essentially at the ship. So if they just go off with like their regular engines, they're not going to be able to rip those cables off.
Yeah.
They'll just maybe spin.
That's probably the case.
Maybe they'll just spin around the outside with the flying saucer, right?
Yeah, or they just pull the saucer along with, you know.
Right. So they just need that extra boost of energy to actually like break loose of the
saucer,
actual physical tactile trap that they've been connected to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't think about that point, but yeah, that makes sense. That sounds like what's happening for sure.
Okay. Cool.
So basically, a lot of this plan goes sideways. Zat and Gnodi do make it to the cockpit, and they are able to secure themselves in. There's like one pirate that shows up and gives them a little fight. R2-D2 basically does his own electric shock on the pirate, knocks him out. So then they all 3 lock themselves in. That part is fine. The rest of the gang gets smoked out. So Hondo figures out that they've all hidden in the vents because none of the pirates can find any of them. So one of the pirates is like, this ship seems abandoned. And Hondo's like, guys, this is a trick we do. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
they're hiding in the vents.
Idiot. Look in the vents.
Yeah. So they basically literally smoke them out. So they start pumping smoke into the vents. I don't know where the smoke's coming from.
They have like these little canisters, I guess. That's not a good term. They're similar in size and shape to like the droid poppers that we've seen, the thermal detonators that we've seen.
Yeah.
Because later we do see one like drop down into the vent.
But it's weird because it produces a lot of smoke.
It does produce a lot of smoke, and what else is weird about it? It doesn't affect the pirates.
Right.
So, like, is it... You see Ahsoka, like, crawling through the vent later, like, trying to cover her mouth and face.
But this is weird, too, because, like, she does that, but, like, the smoke isn't to her yet. But then later, so just jumping forward a little bit, Huang and the remaining younglings do get caught in the smoke, and the kids are suffering for a second. But then Huang, being a droid, just pops his head out. He's like, okay, the kids need out. Let's see what's going on. He pops out. The rest of the pirates are there. But then the kids get pulled out, and like it seemed like an inconvenience, but not like harmful to them, which I found interesting, right?
Yeah. I would imagine maybe it like burns their eyes.
I thought it'd be something like that too, or like they'd start coughing or something. But really, it's just like it's like a light cough at best, you know. It's at best a mild inconvenience for the younglings.
See, if everybody had to wear masks in their universe, maybe they'd be all right.
Okay. Yeah, they might be all right.
They'd last a little bit longer.
So let's see. They are all very quickly captured by the pirates. So then Petro, because he's the cocky asshole that he is like, I'll show you guys. And then he pulls out the lightsaber that he had constructed because he was hanging on to that. And he drops his crystal into it, and he ignites it quickly. And Huang and the other younglings are like, what are you doing? The emitter matrix is still inverted on that thing. You'll mess us all up. So somehow only the younglings hear this little conversation.
I think that probably everybody hears it, but I don't think that these pirates would understand what that means.
What that is, okay. Because like it ignites and then it unignites. It turns itself off.
Does it turn itself off, or does Petro turn it off and then feign a confused look?
I think I don't know. It looks like it fails. It looks like it fails at first.
Okay.
Because it flickers. It definitely flickers. So he would have to time it really well. At best for that.
Okay.
So,
then he throws it, right?
He throws it at a pirate. The pirate catches it, and he's like, "Hey, this will catch us a pretty penny. That's cool." So then he turns it on. And then Huang is like, everybody get down. And it blows up and it knocks every pirate unconscious. All the younglings are A-okay.
Well, they do land down in the ventilation shaft, and Huang does protect them with his body. So
right.
Good on him.
And this injures Huang.
It does.
He gets like a robot limp following this scene.
Yeah, he doesn't say specifically like why he can't continue in like an aggressive fashion. Like I think he says like I can't fight the pirates because I am damaged, and that's right. The extent of that's what we know. We just know he's robot hurt.
Yes. So from here, some of the younglings are trying to explain that they should just get to the hold and follow Ahsoka's plan. Petro is like, no, we need to fight these pirates. Like, we're Jedi. We can do this. This is a thing we can do. And then it is Zanuti. Is that her name? Zatuni, who's like, honestly, I agree with Petro. I think we really should try and fight these guys off and help Ahsoka as best we can. So, yeah, that's when Huang is like, look, I can't help, but sure, we'll figure this out. So, some of the younglings go back to the hold and start turning on all of the lightsaber training drones that are in that room. And Zatuni, I think, is like, hey, turn them up as high as you can.
Yep,
so they pile them up.
Max power.
Yep, they power them up. Then they run off into a side room, a side hallway, and then they shut the door enough just to keep an eye out. Like there's a little gap, which I didn't know the doors could do that. So they shut it just enough that they can have a view porthole through it.
And just to clarify in audio terms, this is a door that, not like an elevator door that closes from both sides, right and left, but this comes from the ceiling and the floor.
Down. Yep.
From the top down and the floor up, and they're able to stop it just enough that we can see through.
Yep. So yeah, there's a horizontal line opening in it. So they do manage to capture 2 pirates to come into the room. They get R2 from the cockpit to shut the door behind the pirates. The pirates get trapped in there, and the training drones basically turn on and just start shooting like crazy is what happens, right?
Serendipity, buddy.
I didn't realize this, but the Wikipedia says that they managed to kill 2 pirates this way.
I would believe it. I feel like there's some death going on in this episode.
Later, yes. I thought at this point that the pirates are maybe getting incapacitated. I didn't realize that the training drones had that much power going on, if you turn them all the way to maximum.
To max damage.
To maximum, yeah.
And there was like 6 of them.
Yep. So let's see. They're trying. So after that, they run out. They follow the hallway that they're already in, but they get trapped by Hondo, essentially. Hondo's hanging out in front of the hold. So they are about to get captured. They try to put up a fight really quickly, or, sort of. But then Ahsoka shows up and saves the day, starts fighting all of them.
I know that there is a point where they're in kind of like a bisected hallway, and they close the door behind them, so essentially they're only fighting from one side.
Yeah, there are more pirates that are running behind them as well.
Huang has this really nice thing that he does where he clusters the kids behind him, and he does put his physical being in between the younglings and Hondo and the pirate attackers.
Yes, yeah,
so
he
again,
is in a very
good on him.
Yeah, very professorial leadership role for sure from him. But yeah, so Ahsoka saves them. Then Huang and the other younglings basically run off. Let's see. So they get to the hold. Ahsoka is still out fighting the pirates.
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka tells Zat, who's in the cockpit, to go ahead and execute the last part of the plan, which is to just rip the ship away from the flying saucer.
Yep.
That works out. The docking tube does get dislodged a little bit. It doesn't get fully loose, but it gets dislodged enough that there is a loss of pressure and air
Creates
gets
a
getting
vacuum.
sucked out.
Yeah, Ahsoka explained this earlier as being like the last part of the plan. Like, this is how we're going to get rid of the pirates. We're going to tear away from the ship and
Suck
let the
'em out of
vacuum
space.
suck them out. That's when Gnodi is concerned, because that's her character trait,
Right.
is being concerned. Won't it suck us out too? And she's like, no, because
this is everything that got explained under the vents.
Yeah.
When the plan was getting explained. So this part generally works. Like, they are all getting sucked out of the hold, or out of the ship. The pirates are. Ahsoka herself is also, because she's not in any of the holds or anything, is getting pulled along for the ride. But she's kind of using this to her advantage to, like, dislodge any pirates that are hanging on.
Yep.
Hondo, most of all, is the one hanging on. So she does what she can to just get all of the pirates into the docking tube. One does, like, get sucked out into space, and we don't see any more of that person at all.
Yep. There's an extra ship. What are they? EVA, right? Extra vehicular activity.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
With no suit.
So that happens. So then Ahsoka gets Hondo knocked into the tube, and then she starts to pull the hatch closed. But right as she does that, one other pirate, some like random straggler pirate, bumps into her, and then she and this other pirate gets knocked into the tube. And then right as that happens, the door shuts them all outside into space.
It is some crazy awesome timing, because
Yeah.
she latches that wall. She calls up to what's his name?
Zat.
She calls up to Zat and says, jump to hyperspace.
Yep, get out of here. Yeah.
And man, that last pirate hits her just at the right time,
yep.
where they can both squeeze through that hatch as it's closing. Hatch closes. They're on the outside. Boom, gone. Hyperspace jump.
Yep. And then so like the younglings and R2 and Huang are all celebrating. They're like, we did it. We got away. So then they try to call for Ahsoka, and there is no answer.
Man, I thought this was super awesome, because like at first they're like, hey, where's Ahsoka? And then somebody calls her up on like the intership holocom, and it cuts from like empty place with the announcement Ahsoka to empty place to empty place to empty place. Super well done.
I agree. Yeah, it's very well done. It's paced very well. Like, even though from an audience standpoint we saw what happened, this is a really good way to reinforce and confirm what happened. So I agree with you. The timing was well done here. it hit a correct tone,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And I think it still builds tension because now these kids are left alone.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So from that, we get one last shot of the younglings, I believe, in the cockpit, and then it irises out and cue loud
No,
music.
what it
right?
goes from the Ahsoka empty room over to Hondo's ship, where
Oh.
Ahsoka's held captive,
Right.
and then
You're right.
Hondo is like, "Hey, you, I
We
was
didn't get
here
the
for
crystals."
profit today.
Yeah.
Crystals were my profits. You kept me from getting the crystals, so I think maybe today you are going to be my profit."
Yep. That's right. I completely forgot about that.
And
So
then
yeah,
he does
then
some.
from
I
there,
don't. Do they zap her or something? Because then she like
they
falls forward,
punched her
heads
or
down.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
They punch her or something like that.
She is essentially knocked out, and I think Hondo gives a little laugh, right? And then
I don't remember that much. Yeah. But yeah. No, I
oh,
did
he says good night. Cue loud music.
Iris out. Yeah.
Fade to
Yep.
black.
Yeah, I did have that Ahsoka's captured, so I don't know why I missed that. But yeah, I do find it interesting that based on the last time we saw Hondo, which was not that long ago, that there is a weird, like, complete 180 in tone for Hondo. And Ahsoka even makes mention of this. It was like, hey, you're a lot less hospitable than the last time we saw you.
Yep.
And then Hondo is like, no, I just go where the prophets are, which is in character, but it's still just like it's a weird way to kind of use the character when you need him to do whatever you need, like from a writing perspective.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. It's just, again, weird to me to have seen this version of Hondo, and like the pirates many times they are very clear that the younglings are not the main goal. The crystals are. And
But he does say multiple times dead or alive, and there's one point where one of his
that's what I mean,
pirate
yeah.
underlings says, yeah, boss, but they're kids. And Hondo does this really cool thing with whatever cane or staff or whatever he's got. He like puts it on the guy's shoulder, like right up to his neck, and reassures him like, hey, if you fuck this up, you're dead.
Well, yeah, that's
in not so
exactly
many
what I was
words.
getting at. No, that's exactly what I was getting at. The crystals are the main goal. Like, the children are complete nonsense to him. So, yeah, dead or alive, he doesn't care about the children. They are not the goal. They are the obstacle to the crystals. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yep. Sorry to interrupt.
no worries. I just want to make sure I, like, finished exactly where I was getting towards. But the reason I bring that up is then, like I said the last time we saw Hondo, it gets really fucking weird to remember that, like, every time people go to a Disney park, whenever that is possible, which, you can in Florida, but not in California. But then you get, like, this weird happy-go-lucky Hondo that's like, hey, welcome. I own the Millennium Falcon for a hot second. Like, Chewie's here. We can just borrow the Falcon. Go get me coaxium. Don't worry about anything that I've done in my past or how I'm a sadistic asshole that doesn't care about the lives of children. Like, okay. Like,
That's funny because I thought about this differently. And the way that I thought about it is that Han Solo is introduced as a space pirate.
Yeah.
Hondo Ohnaka is a space pirate, right? I think that the stuff that Hondo is doing fits in to Hondo's character, and maybe it's because I've not personally attended Galaxy's Edge, but for him to swindle the Millennium Falcon into his purview for now to accomplish his goal of getting coaxium, right? Like, that is his priority. That's where his future credits are coming from, right? So it's just like an extension of, yes, him being the pirate, you in being in attendance are going along with his plan, right?
Yeah. See, no. I don't have a problem with that aspect of his character. Those are all decisions I agree. Hondo would make those decisions. That's not the problem I have. My problem is the fact that they are putting front and center a character that at a known point was okay with killing children. Does that make sense? Like, in a family theme park, the character introduction, the character that liaisons you into the experience is a pirate that, by and large, the masses do not know about. Right?
Do you think that it helps that he's voiced by Winnie the Pooh?
No.
All right.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's just really interesting of like thinking larger, that of all characters that they chose to spearhead that experience has this ideology under his belt of just like, hey, if the kids die, well, as long as we profit, that's fine. Because like I don't think that's a line like Han Solo would cross. You know what I mean?
And so that gets back to the point that I was making is that Han Solo being a pirate, Hondo being a pirate, like are they the same type of pirate? Like, end goal by any means necessary type thing?
No, because I think we've seen in Solo that Han will still pick ethics when he can,
But he will also shoot first.
He'll shoot first, but not children, Like,
do you know how old Greedo is?
Yeah, but murdering children is a lot different than, like, shooting a fellow person that's trying to claim you as the bounty, right?
Okay.
That's trying to turn you in for bounty.
I'll dig that.
That's different. Like, to me, that's way different than, hey, these children want something we have, snap their necks, let's go.
Okay.
It's like,
I guess like watching this episode just made me think of like Han Solo's pirate life, and what I see is that it's even rougher, and he's probably done some more questionable and straight up bad things.
For Han or Hondo?
Han.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree that he's done worse. I also still don't think he would kill children, unarmed, innocent children for the most part.
I will agree with you on that.
Right. So like that was a weird line. I'm not against the fact that they went there. So again, to the two parts of my mind is that I don't disagree that Hondo would make this decision, and I don't disagree that Hondo would coerce Chewie into letting him fly the Millennium Falcon for his own personal gain. But it is also weird to me that we need to accept that he is this evil bastard here, and then that he's like this fun narrator character for our Millennium Falcon experience. You're right? Like, that's kind of just where I'm struggling with these two sides of Hondo. And especially in the last episode where he's like, hey, I brought you guns because I got paid for it, and we're going to joke it up, laughs a minute. Isn't that cool? Oh, those kids? Fuck them up. Fuck those kids. So that's kind of, that's the strange tonal shift that I'm just kind of handling between the larger scope of who we know as Hondo. So...
Well, we will just have to follow Hondo forward and see how things stay consistent, or whether or not he has growth as a character.
Get deeper, get darker, or we find out he has murdered children or something, like,
or that he draws a line and
has a change of heart.
Yeah.
Like,
so.
He gets a full redemption status story or something.
He could. Who knows?
Yeah. So we'll see. What any other? What else you got for this episode?
I do not like Ollivander droid at all.
See, I like him. I like him.
So
a lot.
I like the character, but I don't like the concept that these younglings are taken to find their kyber crystals, and then on the bus ride back to the Jedi Temple, there is some droid that helps them design their lightsabers. Like, I thought
I'll agree with you there.
I thought
I'll
that
agree with
like
you
the whole creation of the lightsaber was like a more intimate thing between the Jedi Master and the Jedi Padawan. Like, I thought it was Padawan status, not youngling status, right? Like, I know that the younglings in Attack of the Clones have lightsabers, but I was always under the impression that these were like training lightsabers and like essentially school property, not that these kids have already gone to Ilum and found their crystals and built these lightsabers, right? And then they are using them with blaster shields to, or whatever, right, to deflect bolts from training sabers. Like, I always thought that it would have been a more intimate thing between like master and apprentice, and like this is a big growth in the experience and the journey of being a Jedi, and to have it be some droid that lives on a ship for 1,000 years and telling them like, hey, follow the schematics, you put the thing in backwards, follow the schematics, and that implies that like a lot of these lightsaber pieces are like interchangeable and shit, and it just kind of, to me, it cheapens like the experience of for the characters building their lightsabers.
I don't know. I didn't get that sense. Like, because like my expectations aside, what was presented here, I kind of understood. Like, other I'll agree with you that it's weird that it happens on a ship. I always assumed that it would have happened at the Jedi Temple. You know, but still, the idea of this being a group process didn't bother me. It only seemed logical to me because I don't think at this point the younglings are paired up with a specific master yet, right?
That's my point.
But I don't have a problem with that. Like, between the previous episode and this one, I don't think there's an efficient way to do this on a one-on-one case. You know what I mean? Like,
sure there is. The whole fucking Jedi system is built on master and apprentice. That's a one-on-one case.
But not for every step of. But that's what I'm saying. Not every step of the way. You know?
I would like you to go back and listen to like the introduction of Ahsoka on our show, and I would imagine that a critique that you had is that she already had lightsabers and that like she was a youngling assigned to a Jedi to be an apprentice, and that was contradictory to the things that we had thought previously. And I feel like you would have had beef with that.
You're probably right, but I think my concern with Ahsoka is that she was put into war at that age, not that she was given a lightsaber. Or at least that's in my head now, thinking about that era, you know, of Ahsoka. My beef is that she was placed as a general. But these younglings aren't generals. They're just getting a lightsaber.
Right.
You know, which I think we are putting more importance on it. Whereas in a Jedi, yes, this is like it's a minor graduation ceremony of sorts. Like it's a big step for a youngling. But there are other big steps for Jedi in general.
I mean, I will definitely say I'm placing more importance on the lightsaber than these two episodes have. Right. But then I also think like Obi-Wan is like, this, you know, this is your life. Like, this lightsaber is your life. And for that to just be like a field trip from school, you know, it feels like you brought up the fact that there was something in last week's episode that felt video game-ish, right? This feels video game-ish. Like at the beginning of the video game, like you pick all your shit, and there might be like a cutscene where like
your character.
Right, you customize your character. You can, in Star Wars games, you can customize your lightsaber, and then sometimes there's like a cutscene of like people sitting around a table, like putting shit together to like get you to the point where the game starts. And
I don't think, but to me,
I just don't like it.
I don't think this contradicts anything Obi-Wan says, though. You know what I mean? Like that's my feeling. I don't need the lightsaber putting together to be this big production in order for it to be important.
Okay.
Right.
That's fine. I don't agree, but that's fine.
Yeah, I think the idea, because like, at least with this episode, other than the fact that it gets distracted by the pirates, the fact that it is still a struggle, that it is difficult. The only character we see even like get the lightsaber together in some degree is Petro.
So are we gonna see the rest of like the 5 other Padawans?
Nah, I don't know. I honestly don't. I only remember this one because of David Tennant.
Right.
I honestly don't remember where this rest of this arc goes. I honestly don't remember Ahsoka getting sucked out of this tube. So
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say they're gonna go after her, but
right.
At the end of last week's episode, I could have totally seen that as like being the end, and then boom, all of a sudden Ahsoka somewhere else, Yoda somewhere else, whatever.
I completely agree.
But the fact that we're put in the ship and then attacked by pirates, and then Ahsoka is gone. Obviously, this is going to be more than a 2-parter. Like we're going to continue from here. I have zero expectations of where we're going.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, I will throw out my binary eval of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I do give it a thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
I liked this more than I liked the crystal hunting episode. Mm-hmm. We did get our characters established, so we didn't have to worry about that this week, right? But sorry. I like the pirate attack. I love the UFO ship. I like the heaviness of Hondo and his absolute conviction of trying to do the thing that he's going to do. But then I also like he's got some banter back and forth with Ahsoka, and he's like, hey, if I knew it was you, I would have just came up and asked you. Like, we could have avoided all of this other shit. Nobody would have been at risk. Like, we could be civil with each other. I thought that was great. The droid of Ollivander is kind of a funny concept.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. I don't like this lightsaber construction, but overall, the story flows well, moves quickly. A lot of the things that happen make sense, and it's entertaining. I like the story as a whole. They're just what I feel like are big pieces that I don't like. Still giving it a thumbs up, though.
I think I actually like this one more than you did. I like this a lot. I don't have a problem with Ollivander droid. I don't have a problem with this being the ritual for which a lightsaber is constructed. I honestly really don't think I had a lot of problems with this episode other than Petro just being annoying as fucking hell.
I have a feeling that's not going away, buddy.
No, I don't think it will. It sucks, too, because he does come in very useful. But I agree with you. This is a very entertaining episode. It flows real well. It breezes by fairly quickly. I agree with you. I really do like Hondo. I really do like Hondo a lot. I just bring up that thing with Hondo just because it is just really interesting to see the character change on still be the character. Like I said, there's nothing that Hondo does here or any other time that doesn't feel Hondo-ish, but it is still just weird to think of Hondo as having these very, very different sides of his personality.
Yeah. I was thinking as you were just talking, like, I don't think this is like an evolution of his character as much as it is like an expansion of the things that are already there that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it for sure. So I get, like, for all that Hondo talk, it's not that I have a issue with it at all. I really like him in this episode. I really do, and I do like that. I agree with you that he has a goal, and the way because of like how dark it gets, it sets up the stakes very well. I don't think that it plays with the stakes quite as like it sets up stakes, but I never felt that tension. That's not a bad thing. That's not a criticism.
Like, it's not perilous, right?
Yeah, I never felt like terrified for these children, right? If anything, I felt more tension in last week's episode with like all the various like tests, because those were like personal sort of tests that the children were going through, the younglings. But in this one, like, despite the like high stakes that they were put under, like, it was definitely more of like a fun action-y episode. And that fight scene between Hondo and Ahsoka towards the end is really cool. It is really cool to see. It's well done, and like you said, that those last few moments of the timing between, you know, Ahsoka vanquishing the pirates into the tube and then herself getting stuck in the tube, all super well done on that one. So yeah, man, I like this episode. I dug it. But cool. Again, like last week's episode, I like this episode. So maybe you don't, but just of the way it sort of reiterates at least the core basic concept of how a lightsaber gets constructed.
Sure.
You know, because this is something that like even casual Star Wars fans are interested in, but they might not know an episode like this like lays it out. You know,
this is the animated version of going to Galaxy's Edge and building your lightsaber.
Going to Savi's, yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So
it's a bunch of buckets of fucking parts. There's a schematic. You can only put it together one way.
Yeah, certain pieces, like, yeah, because essentially, it's laid out in this episode. Like, you essentially have, like a hilt piece, an igniter piece.
Yeah, there's like a tube
piece
with the shit that goes inside, and then there's the piece at both ends, a grip, and a couple of things in between.
Yep. Yeah, like, so, like, as to what those pieces can be, that part is customizable, but, like, you always have, like, those components, always, you know?
Yeah.
So
like, there was a build-your-own lightsaber kit/toy set that operated on the same function as apparently lightsabers actually do.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, but
I don't like
but
it.
Again, I like the I just like the idea that there is like some sort of canon explanation that is spelled out, you know.
Normally, I really like those things. I do not like it in regards to schematics of lightsabers and having to follow instructions.
Well, because, like, to me, it only makes sense in that way. Like, you, again, because a lightsaber is always going to have a hilt, a handle, and an igniter.
Sure.
Yeah. So
you can't build Dooku's lightsaber with Huang, right? You can't.
But you
build...
can. He says like what kind of, when he talks to the Wookiee character, what's Gunji, he even says it. He's like, what kind of handle are you imagining? And he even brings up, like, what about like a curved one? Like, we don't see those a lot, but it could be done. I think
I don't remember that.
He says it. So what I think is happening is that we are skipping a step in between, just for, like, I think there is a process of like, hey, here are a bunch of hilt pieces. Which one do you like? Pick one. You know, you get these choices of hilts. Pick one. You get these choices of handles. Pick one. You get these choices of igniter pieces. Pick one.
Okay.
I think those options are all there, you know, and you can you can eventually get your way towards a curved handle like Ventress or Dooku. You know, those options are there. them not showing it to us does, to me, there is no evidence that they are like that doesn't exist.
So what about like Pong Krell's like hinged double-bladed lightsaber, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that he developed after the fact? Because, I mean, he's not the only person that has that, right?
Right.
But
Well,
he's the only person that we've ever seen that has that.
I don't think that whatever these kids build here is their lightsaber forever, and that's it. You can't customize this shit ever again.
Okay.
Right. I don't think this is the last step. This is where the analogy with Ollivanders is going to fall apart, where, like, you get your wand, that's the wand. But this isn't that. This is a card
The crystal is the wand.
The crystal is the wand, and
Supposedly.
the rest, yeah. But then, you know, like, this is still a car that you can fine-tune later. You know, it's not like you drive off the lot and that's it forever. You cannot change this car. Like, some people don't. Some people don't.
Yeah.
But some people go fucking nuts, you know? Some people go all out on pimping their rides, right? Like, so that's where you get the Pong Krell. That's where, you know.
Okay.
Again, because I'm just debating on whether or not I want to bring up, like, much later episodes, but I don't think I will.
Nah.
But
don't do it now.
But we've seen lightsabers, like, evolve, right? You know. So,
but apparently not in 1,000 years, because you got to stick to the schematics.
Again, I think we're dealing with younglings who can't even put together the basics together.
Which is why they shouldn't be there yet, and it should be a fucking one-on-one thing between the Jedi Master and the Jedi Apprentice.
No, I think that's... But, no, that's...
And you don't need this whole rigmarole of Yoda sitting in the fucking lobby with a chandelier and ice fucking walls and bullshit. Like...
All of that... No. All of that, to me, shows why you have to have this as a group challenge, because these kids are fucking dumb. Like... You know, and then you get the fucking asshole Petro who, like, runs off and does shit by himself. Like, this is why you don't do it one-on-one. You get, like, a bunch of kids that have to figure this shit out on their own, but they have each other at the very least. Or if one does it, then maybe the other kids can be like, wait, what'd you do? Show that to me again. You know?
That's what your fucking Jedi Master's for, man.
Again, no, there's other shit going on, man. Like, this is, like, to me, it's like, to me, the idea is, like, your parent can teach you how to drive. That's cool. That's an option. That is possible. Yes, talk to your parent about their tips and tricks, but that doesn't mean you aren't also allowed to actually just go to a driving school and learn that way simultaneously. Right?
Yeah.
Like, for some kids, sure, like, they'll just get taught by their parents, and if the state is down for that, and you just the state just says, hey, the main thing, take the test. If you can do that, you pass. You know, we're talking about like 15-year-olds, 15 and 9 months or whatever, you know, or 14 and 9 months in some states that they start learning how to drive.
That's insane.
Yeah, but you know, we're putting them in the seat of a car, a heavy ass car that could just as easily ram into somebody else and just cause mayhem and destruction, you know. So
very true.
That's how I'm seeing this, is like, yes, you get one-on-one time in a car, but like,
okay, but in your analogy with this car, this would be somebody that doesn't even have their permit yet, taking people that aren't old enough to get their permit, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a group on a bus, and then the bus driver being like, all right, everybody, listen up. What kind of steering wheel cover do you want? What kind of fuzzy dice do you want?
Is that bad, though?
That doesn't teach you how to drive a fucking car, man.
That comes later, but that's like these are like there are multiple steps going on, but I think
your analogy's falling apart, brother.
It definitely will very quickly. But I don't think that requires the one-on-one. You know, like you learn the
maybe
it
doesn't. Maybe it doesn't require, but letting that preschooler mature a little bit to the age of being able to understand the responsibility and effects of operating a motor vehicle and doing a one-on-one type training.
Back to Ollivanders. Back to Ollivanders. Because, like, none of the witches and wizards learn how to use the wands on their own. And even then, they might not pick it out on their own either.
The wand chooses the wizard, Harry.
Right, but we don't... Do we? We never see any other witches or wizards picking a wand, do we?
No.
Because, like, in my head, I'm imagining Ron's whole family is, like, crowding the shit out of him while he's at Ollivanders.
Oh, I can imagine.
Right. So, like, in my head, like, maybe that would be one of the analogies. And then they all go to first year Hogwarts, where they're learning fucking Leviosa, you know?
Right.
Like that part to me is the wizard equivalent of trying to put this shit together to use, right? Like, at that point, that shit's already together, and they are using it.
Even those kids are junior high age. They're not preschool to kindergarten. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Younglings are elementary school at best.
Right. Hey, man, accelerated learning programs.
And underage wizards, like, even before, like, the age of Hogwarts, are 100% restricted from using wands.
From magical use, yeah.
So
but again, accelerated learning program for the Jedi. But to me, so the age thing aside, it's the togetherness part that does not bother me in the least. The fact that this is a group experience. I don't in any way feel takes away from the gravity and the weight and the specialness of the occasion.
Here's what I'm going to think is going on in the Star Wars universe during the Clone Wars today. Right. The fact that there are A, fewer Jedi, and B, younglings are harder to come by. Things have changed. And it used to be the way that I enjoyed to understand lightsaber construction, and it was a developmental, intimate growth thing between master and apprentice that they went through together. Now those opportunities are not there, so we have this droid that's been archiving and architecting lightsabers for 1,000 years. I don't think that he's always been in charge of what the Jedi are building, but maybe more so on not even like a research and development, but maybe like a research and cataloging type deal.
Yeah.
And now that position has kind of transferred into these younglings come through this Jedi factory.
They're trying to churn them out, yeah.
Pump them MFers out there, man.
I won't disagree with you on that interpretation as well. My last question to you, because like you're going to be more knowledgeable in this, but like in old canon, was it explained that lightsaber building was a one-on-one sort of experience?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that like in old canon there was like training lightsabers like within the Jedi Academy, and that the actual building of a Jedi's lightsaber came after or like during the Padawan stage.
Yeah, like the Padawan and master apprentice.
Like they would go to, I don't know if it was Ilum specifically, but they would go and they would seek out the crystal, and then, because I feel like, I don't know if it was Obi-Wan, but I feel like when like a story that I'm remembering, like when the lightsaber was being constructed, like there was many failures. You know, it was like it's like the Michael Jordan approach to lightsaber building until you figure it out, and you're studying along the way, and it's like an intense learning process to get to the point. Like even if you have all of the components, like it's the respect and the understanding and the dedication and the will of the Force and the knowledge of the Force, right, and the use of the Force to combine all these things together, because without all of that, like you can stick a bunch of shit together. It's not going to make a lightsaber, right? So that's what I think, or what I think I remember. So obviously, I'm biased from those memories,
right? And so, I don't have, like, I think the only other time I would have remembered like anything lightsaber building specific would be like Knights of the Old Republic. I believe had a whole mission where you had to go do that.
Yeah.
But that's different because it wasn't like in the Jedi Order. Like you're on your own, and it was a random mission the video game gave you. Again, more video game references.
Right.
So that was kind of my input, and maybe I think that's an interesting thing to think about, is because I just wasn't into the old legend, like what is now Legends, old canon, as much. So I didn't have such preconceived notions, which is why, one of my things I kept bringing up was like, it's really cool that we get this like solidified in this way in these episodes. But I'll agree with you that, to me, like seeing this process here maybe is Clone Wars specific because of the need to churn out children, and maybe the other one does exist. So yeah, I find that interesting, and hopefully we can try and check it out and see any times that the lightsaber building sort of gets mentioned, even throughout Legends. I'd be curious to kind of see how that developed over time. But because I'm assuming, yeah, like at this point, George is still somewhat involved in this episode or in the show, so he would have probably been consulted on some of this stuff too.
Yeah. I'm
just curious, like, what he was thinking, like, or what input he had, and because I think now I'm trying to. We're going down like a speculative rabbit hole, but like I think one of the current canon new comics, covers that time when Luke goes off and builds the green saber, right? So I need to try and figure that out. Look, I haven't read any of the comics in ages, but I, for some reason, vaguely remember that being mentioned somewhere. So, anyways, yeah, the saber building is interesting. So,
yeah, I totally agree.
So. Yeah, that's all I got in this one now. So, yeah. Any last points before we get out of here?
No, I'm gonna try to look into some solid, even if it's outdated old EU info about lightsaber building, see how things kind of coalesce together. But moving forward from building lightsabers and Ahsoka being lost, where are we headed?
The next one is Bound for Rescue. So sounds like we're bound for rescuing.
That's kind of what I was thinking. If you want to weigh in on the Lorenzo Kevin lightsaber battle, head on over to notthenerds.com. You can check out all of our social media links there. You can check out our YouTube playlist as well. It's a good way to drop a comment and let us know what you're thinking. Are you Team Lorenzo or are you Team Kevin here?
Indeed. And as always, we like to give a shout out to Kevin Warren at They Call Me K-Dub on Twitter. He's the guy who put together our cover art that you see wherever you may be listening to this. And also Lindsay at strangefantasymusic@gmail.com. She put together the intro and outro music that you hear every episode. And also we'd like to thank Anthony at Blue the Beard on Twitter. He's the fellow that put together our website for us. So again, if you head over to notthenerds.com, you can find all of our stuff. But wherever you're hearing this, or if you're watching on YouTube, please drop us a comment or like, if you would, please. That helps us out a lot. We enjoy doing this all the same. But until next week for Bound for Rescue, I've been Lorenzo.
Kevin Horde.
These aren't the nerds you're looking for.
Bye-bye.